Good evening, everyone. My name's Gary. I'm a believer in recovery. How are we doing? So tonight we're going to talk about Matthew chapter 9, and I'm going to try and stick as near to God's word as possible because my word ain't going to get us far. Lou, thanks for last week doing chapter 8. And for anyone that needs a refresher, chapter 8 in summary was all about Jesus' authority over sickness, nature, and the spiritual forces. He heals a leper, demonstrates compassion for a centurion, and calms a storm and casts out demons, which emphasizes the faith, discipleship, and transformative power of encountering Jesus. So that was kind of what you touched on last week, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that brings us up to date, and I'll try and see what I can do. So chapter 9, it comes, there's a few main themes that run through it, and I wanted to just highlight them as well. So we've got the healing and compassion that Jesus does a lot of in chapter 9. We've got the authority to heal and for forgiveness in chapter 9. It's a big theme in there. We've got the inclusivity and outreach. He was there for the sinners and the bad guys. Yeah. There's a verse somewhere later on that I might end up touching on if I find where I've got it written down, where he says, well people don't need a doctor, they don't need a physician. He's come to the sick people, and I class myself as in that, and while I'm on that, it's funny because naturally when I first became a Christian and I was trying to not evangelize to the kids because I couldn't. Yeah? But I was trying to say, look, it's a good place, it's like, yeah. And my daughter sent me, bless her, she didn't know, she thought it was funny because she knows I'm a humorous bloke. She sent me a TikTok video, and it was of a woman going, you think because you go to church, you're better than this, better than that. And it was, it could have been quite funny. And my instant reaction was, I go to church because I'm a sick so-and-so. That's why I need that church because I'm a sick, and it's nice and reassuring and a pleasure to read that Jesus come for us sickos. So I'm sorry if I cast you in that and you're not, but you probably are. And if you're not, you've got the capacity to be, yeah. So I'm just a sicko, and so I like that, that he comes for us lot, yeah. That's what he said. That's what it says to me, yeah. And he demonstrates in Matthew 9 God's kingdom. The power over nature, disease, the death, everything. It's all going on in Matthew 9. It's massive. There's 38 verses that there's no way I'm going to touch on all of them, yeah. But there's a lot going on. So, okay, so I feel really weird saying stuff like verse 1 to 8 and that, but I suppose it's Jesus' word, it's not mine, yeah? So I'm going to do it like it's written. So in verse 1 to 8, Jesus, he healed a paralytic brought to him by friends. And what that's kind of saying to me is, I wouldn't be here without brothers and fellowship people that brought me here, that shined a light and in their own way evangelized. I came via the rooms, yeah, and there's a lot of talk about God, some of it good, some of it not good, but there's a lot of talk about God, and I felt I didn't have that. And after many years, I was thinking, well, what's going on? Why ain't I got this God? And this because it was right in front of me, but I was choosing to look into every other dimension and philosophical discussion and all of that, So anyway, I remember, this is where I go off script now. I remember, right, when I was little, yeah, my big brother, God rest him, when stuff was a bit tough indoors, right, which it was a lot, on a Sunday, as little nippers, we'd wander into the church, joking and laughing and all of that. And something told us that there was goodness there, and you see these things, I do too much social media, sorry, but you see these things about kids are not born racist, right? It's something that seeps in, the evil seeps in and stuff, yeah, as you get old. And so what happened is me and my brother were looking for God as innocent kids. You know, he was there. He was all over me. You know, and then the demons came. You know, call them what you will. You know, the temptations, the lying, the cheating, the stealing, the wanting what you got more than what I got, and all of that stuff. Yeah, you know, that really came at me. So anyway, I told you I digress. So he brought a paralytic to him by friends, which thank God for all our friends that show us the way to Jesus, right? And what went on here is a lot about faith. So although the paralytic might not have had any faith, his friends did. And Jesus could see that. And he went, okay, bang, they got faith. You know, there's a lot of stuff in this first part of the chapter that is you know, so anyway, so there's one fella, I think it was the paralytic as well. Yeah, paralytic. What's the word? The paralyzed bloke. Yeah. In our case, it's the paralytics. Yeah. Right. So, you know, and he says, the Pharisees, I think it is, say like that. He says to this, you're forgiven, and the Pharisees are like, who are you to do that? And so not in a sense of I'm going to prove it to you, because Jesus didn't need to prove anything. But what he did was, knowing that it would prove what he was saying, he went, get up and walk. Get up and walk. And then they were like, wow, you know, if he's done that, he must have the power to forgive as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff in that early part of the chapter that is about having the power to not only heal, but to forgive and do both things. Yeah. And you know, if you've got the faith and you take it to the Lord, hopefully the miracles will happen. And if you won't, it might be miracles where you get to cope. You know, for me, it's been like that. You know, I don't get healed, but I managed to get what I need. Weird stuff, yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so anyway, the fact that Jesus did that, he forgave them. The Pharisees were looking on, they were going, who are you to forgive people? You think you're God or whatever, yeah? This is in my language now. And he went, well, get up and walk. And they were like, wow. And this glorified him. It started to glorify what he was about and think, this guy's the real deal. Yeah, that's how I read it, right? So then, which a bit, I don't know if you like me, but you love it. He went to Matthew, the tax collector, despised. He said, follow me. You know, and then them Pharisees people, they were like, what are you doing with him? And that's when he said, like, you know, the well people don't need a physician. Yeah, these are the sickos, you know what I mean? And I say that like I'm proud to be a sicko, but I'm not. I'm getting healed. Do you know what I mean? I'm changing. The Lord's changing me. But I'm proud that Jesus come for us, yeah? You know, and I'm pleased and I'm happy, and he needs glorifying for that. So, you know, the next bit, like 14 to 17, is about fasting. Yeah, and do you know what note I've read? I was like, I'm not going to talk about that. I cannot stop eating. Yeah, so we'll skip that, the fasting one, yeah, because it ain't something I really understand. You know, so boom, we'll move on with that. And anyway, there's the ruler's daughter with the blood. And yet again, this was a demonstration of faith. So I think it was anyway, yeah. The guy, her dad, I think it was, came and said, look, my daughter, she's bleeding and all that, yeah. And even though she weren't there, because he had so much faith that Jesus could do it, if he was like, if you lay your hands on me, or she will live. Oh, sorry, I've got the wrong one. The blood and the that one. Anyway, so he moved on from the woman with blood. He did cure her, yeah, but you know, I think she just touched his robe or whatever. But then he moved on to one that there was a lot of people already grieving over outside our house and all that, and who weren't believers. And Jesus come along and he cleared away all the people that didn't believe, the people with no faith. But he went in and he healed her because they had faith. You know, that's probably a bit off key there, a bit inaccurate because I got it mixed up with the other one, but it's something like that. And the point is, yeah, the woman did have faith. And she was like, if only I could touch, just jumped about a bit. If on her faith, him healed her without his touch. Okay, so yeah, he healed her without his touch. And the point is, not the way I say it, the point is that again and again and again, Jesus showed compassion for the sickos. whether they were bleeding, whether they were half dead, whether they were tax collectors. It was all about compassion, you know. So what I was starting to understand is Jesus was a good guy. You know, people, I don't know, if you're like me, like I sometimes go, oh, sorry, Jesus, you know, but yeah, we have to watch ourselves. But Jesus has got compassion, you know, and there's a bit I'm going to say early, I think. One of the first, when I spoke to a first elder, one of the first things I said, is there any jokes in the Bible? Does anyone ever laugh in them days or what? He said, well, there's not anything in the Bible that says don't joke, right? But at the end of this chapter, which I loved, it says, be in good cheer. Be in good cheer. And I'm like, okay, I can do that, yeah? Anyway, so I'll digress again. So Jesus saw the unbelieving, grieving people at the ruler's house because he was a ruling guy, yeah? Who's, I think his daughter was that brown bread in there. And Jesus puts all the belief outside and then he healed her. And it's miracles, you know. And when I talk about miracles and compassion for us, sometimes I was saying to somebody not long ago, you know, yeah, what about the miracles stuff? And it's quite simple, really. It's once again, if we want to believe, we'll see them. If we don't, and there's days where I don't want to see them, I don't want to see anything except my pillow, you know. But there's other days where I can't deny that miracles are all around me, you know, all around me, and not. I don't mean just sitting here and that. It's just like I was. Oh, sorry, but I was at a parent carers evening today, yeah, in the college for 3 Vietnamese kids that ain't mine, and all I was thinking about while I was there listening to them was how proud of them I am. And then I was thinking, I've got to go and do a talk on Mathew 9. Tell me that ain't a miracle.
Yeah.
Even from a year ago, let alone 10 years ago. I'm thinking, how's that happen? What's going on here? Anyway, and if I think about it, I'll get too messed up, so I better move on. So anyway, that whole up to, you know, there's a lot of healing going on, and he done the blind people, yeah. Do you believe that I am able, he said, according to your faith? Sorry. I knew this was going to happen. I've got too many bits of paper. Okay, so from 27 to 31, he heals the blind man. I don't think I've got the sentence that he used. You got it there, Lou? No, it's quick. Yeah, that's it. I have got that written. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Do you believe that I'm able, he said, according to your faith? And they did, and he said, see, you know, just like that, boom. And I know once again that might seem alien to us, but listen, right? Back in the day, like for olden times, as my mum would call them, yeah. If you had a toothache or a bad knee, you didn't have an operation and that. If they saw what we were doing with dentists and that, they'd be going, "It's a miracle. All we got to do is want to believe them." Yeah, I know that's a bad example, but you know, or in my case, heart surgery and all of that. Yeah, you know, it's miracles. Absolute. Anyway, so there's lots of miracles around us, and that whole chapter is talking about healing, forgiveness, and not just once, on and on and on and on and on and on. So I'm getting right lost with bits of paper. So once again, sick people. Sorry, you're gonna have to bear with me, yeah. Anyway, then it comes to that bit, yeah. His compassion. Be of good cheer. He is kind. He's a good bloke. You know, and I've even just studying this one chapter, you think, oh, he's all right. You know what I mean? And when, in a sense, I kind of see him now as like some cool dude. You know what I mean? With long hair, kind of, it's going to be all right, man. Just chill. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so which is quite a nice way to see him. So going back to, I don't know, I've nosed it up. You know that. I've nosed it up. I've got duplicates here and everything. Anyway, it's all right. So I don't know. I don't want to jump to that. So anyway, right. So here's a bit. I don't know what part it is. Jesus' authority to forgive sin. So Charles Spurgeon would likely emphasize that the dual demonstration of authority and forgiving sins, yeah, and healing the paralytic. And he probably underscored the significance of this act in affirming Jesus' divine authority and power. Jesus stepped into a boat, crossed across the water to his own town, and summoned this back to the paralyzed man. I don't know what I'm doing. So Jesus brought him a paralyzed man. This is in a Charles Spurgeon attitude. And Jesus saw the faith. He said to the man, "Take heart, son, your sins are forgiven." This is what I spoke about earlier. At this, some of the teachers of the law said to themselves, "This fella's blaspheming." Mm-hmm. You know, and sometimes I think I'm blaspheming. You know, because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get more faith on one day than another. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know what it is, but like when I'm listening to them tunes we was doing, I'm banging in faith. I'm like right up there. You know what I mean? But anyway, so Jesus said, "Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your heart? Which is easier? Your sins are forgiven, or to say, get up and walk?" And that's back to that point of, you know, how can you tell them you're forgiven? Yeah. And you go, well, watch this. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's famous. Do you know what I mean? And about the fasting, because I know I couldn't answer it, but Jesus' response was about the bridegroom, wasn't it? And Jesus responds to questions about fasting as an indication of joy and fulfillment found in his presence. He may emphasize the importance of spiritual discernment in understanding the appropriate times for fasting and rejoicing. I don't know what that means. Spurgeon would probably expound of Jesus' miracles and healing, illustrating his compassion for the sick. So there's so much in there about the sick and that. And I'm going to wing it now because I've got some stuff to say anyway. Yeah. You know, the whole thing is about healing, glorifying his miracles, being with the sickos, having compassion and having good cheer. You know, they're really, really key points in all through the thing. Now, I'm pleased that God told me on the way in here when I was a little bit nervous, don't worry, you ain't a theologian. I'm following my nose. No one taught me to do this, you know, other than God. So this is what he gave me and this is what you get. So I can talk about having been healed. I can talk about that I've been forgiven. I can talk about the compassion I've received. I've been talking about the patience of again and again and again and again, Jesus saying, "Gary, you're forgiven. It's okay. Move on. Get up and walk through this." You know, in times of real hopelessness, in times of so much like where I've got the strength to carry on, Lou, I don't know. You know, and that ain't poor me. It's what a touch. That's what that is. You know, it's like I don't even know who that person was. You know, I've changed so much. So, how long have I been talking? So, right, you know, for those that don't know, you know, and I mentioned it earlier, Jesus slapped me around. I started off in that church with my brother when I was little. My brother lost his way. How he did before me, I don't know. You know, he's gone to the afterlife, whatever. Yeah. All my mates around me died, and then I sometimes got the arrogance to sit around and saying there ain't no miracles. I was the worst user amongst them all. You know, I was a naughty user, man. I was one of them blood and guts ones, and sorry, oh God, sorry. Anyway, and the point being is God slapped me around. You know, he said, "Look, man, I'm still here. I'm patient with you. I love you." You know, and the truth is that I was talking to an elder yesterday, and he said that some people find it hard to accept God loves them because we don't forgive ourselves. And that struck gold with me because at some point something's changed in me where I am calm. I know it's going to be right tonight, whether regardless of how nervous I am. Yeah,
Mhm.
you know, I know that miracles are going on all the time around me. I can't even tell you how good my life's becoming. I can't, because I try and retain a little bit of humbleness. Yeah, you know. But for me, life's just amazing. It's just amazing, and sometimes you need Jesus walking with you, in my opinion, to be able to see them blessings. You know, because if we let all the other stuff seep in, the worldly stuff, we focus on the miracles, the healing, the compassion, and the good cheer, and the sickos. That's where we need to be. That's where I need to be, and I don't do enough of. I don't do enough of. You know, I want to be that guy that helps anyone, not just a sicko, that helps absolutely anyone. You know, and that didn't come naturally. That way of wanting to be, it come from God. You know, and I said to someone recently, I said, if you weren't loved, right, growing up or whatever, how do you know if you love someone? That was my argument. I was going, yeah, I can say I love people or whatever, but how do you really know if you weren't taught love? And they said to me, you know that face you make when your grandkid runs up to you? Oh, yeah, he said, that's love. I went, fair enough. You know, sometimes we just need to open our eyes, don't we? You know, so I'm waffling on, I'm going way off topic. But look, I'll say, look, I'll finish on this, all right? Somewhere. The sick people, the mute, the blind, the paralyzed, heal them all. Yeah. He's got good cheer while he's doing it. He's saying to them, cheer up, it's going to be all right. You know, how many times have you needed a hand on your shoulder going, it's going to be all right, man? You know, that hippie dude. It's going to be all right, man. So get out of it. You know, because we don't want to believe. When we want to believe, that hippie dude's a good guy. Yeah, oh, Jesus is a good guy. Yeah, and I'm sure there's something else I need to say here. Bear with me. Yeah, maybe I don't. I printed it. I printed the same thing twice by the looks of it. So yeah, what all them miracles did is they showed that Jesus had the authority and that he was the glorious one. He was the King. Yeah. You know, he went round and he didn't have to shout about it. All these people that he were healing and all of that. They was like, oh, he's here. This is it. You know, and what stands out for me most is that, you know, he said to Matthew, come on, follow me. Come on. And he was eating in their house with him and all that. It's like going in, it's like one of you look going to me, what was you doing in that crack house earlier? I was trying to help him, man. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm not recommending going in a crack house and helping people, by the way. Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Like it was like frowned upon. Matthew was like, I imagine a leper had more chance than Matthew of getting integrated in that society. And he was like, yeah, I'll have some of that. I'll go with a hippie guy. You know, and I don't know what else to say. I'm grateful, and I'll leave it there.